Now, let's talk about some wrestling from last night. More importantly, let's do a nice little casual recap of AEW Dynamite. Dynamite started off with a battle royal. We knew it was coming. It was the Dynamite Diamond Ring Battle Royal. A little different this year. A little different. It wasn't, you don't win the ring immediately. This time you win the opportunity to challenge MJF at any time to take that ring. It was a good battle royal. I wasn't mad at it. It was a good start to AEW Dynamite. Little things that I did notice were like Dustin Rhodes got a nice little pop. There good action inside the ring. I liked the Matt Hardy stuff, but I think there was only one real takeaway from the intro or the beginning to Dynamite, and that is the moment that Ricky Starks won the Battle Royal and MJF hit the ring. That's when the show really started. That's when the fireworks went off. That's when we got what we wanted. And we finally got to see Ricky Starks in the ring with MJF. It's been long enough. I was ready for it. And we got the showdown, and it paid off. It definitely paid off. MJF started off, took his shots, did his normal MJF stick. It was good. It was solid. Hit him with the dollar store Dwayne comment. Called him the Pebble. Referenced his likeness to The Rock. Thought those were all solid jabs. But out of nowhere, my boy Ricky Starks came in just swinging. And he lit MJF up. Like, I was not ready for the level of intensity that Ricky Starks just proved, hey, guys, let's take a second. Let's welcome Ricky Starks to stardom. Because that was it, my friend. That was it, my brother, Ricky. You're in the big leagues now. You showed that you can stand up and go toe-to-toe with one of the masters of the microphone. And, hey, you're ready to go. The maxi pad line, that shit, the maxi pad line was fire. I wasn't expecting him to come out with that level of intensity, and he just like jab for jab went right back at MJF. I even saw MJF kind of mouth back at Ricky Starks when he dropped the maxi pad line. MJF mouthed back at Ricky Starks. If that shit sticks, like MJF knows, he knows that stuff like that can snowball out of control, man. This got me excited. I'm actually excited for something in AEW. I mean, I'm ready. This sold me on the match. I thought that this was kind of a throwaway match. I thought this was a throwaway opponent, but, I still think MJF has a long, illustrious title run, but here we go, right out the gates. I don't know that the crowd is on MJF's side. It really feels like the crowd wants Ricky Starks to win this match, and that's always when a match is at its best, is when the crowd kind of turns on who you thought was going to be the favorite. And that's what it looks like is happening. So I'm excited for that. Now there's kind of two angles at play here. There's the AEW, the BBB, the big beautiful belt, the AEW World Championship, and now the Dynamite Diamond Ring is at play also. It's interesting. This is a cool little turn of events that I'm interested in. I'm interested in seeing where it goes, and I'm sold. Welcome to the big show, Ricky Starks, because you just introduced yourself to not only the IWC, but to casual fans. Everybody will pick up. This will be a story today. Everybody will be talking about this today. Everybody will be talking about how Ricky Starks showed up, stood toe-to-toe with MJF, and possibly might have stuck it to MJF in that one. The score might be Ricky Starks 1, MJF 0. There's a high chance that people score it that way. What else happened? We got Darby Allin and Samoa Joe in the most Darby Allin match I've ever seen. I talked about Darby yesterday and how I wasn't a fan of Darby because Darby basically puts his life on the line every time he's in a ring, and he didn't fail expectations last night. He did some of the wildest shit. The suicide dive out of the ring where he just completely misses and rolls into the barricade. Then you got Samoa Joe just swinging him around like a rag doll, swung him into the barricade a couple times. And then you got like the muscle buster at the end of the match onto the exposed trucks of a skateboard. Like, that shit is insane. Who else? Nobody else does this kind of shit. Like, Darby Allin matches are like car wrecks. You just can't look away. Like, some shit's happening that you're not It's not, you're not going to sleep well when you think about it, but you can't look away. And I guess that is the appeal to some people who are fans of Darby Allin. To me, it's insane because I know the toll he's putting on his body, and I know that he's not going to have a long career if he continues to work this way. But I mean, I guess that's entertaining. It's not all elite wrestling. That's all extreme wrestling. I mean, that is like Darby would have fit right into ECW. Like the shit that Darby does is insane. And I didn't think that I was going to be a fan of Samoa Joe and Darby Allin, but it worked. It actually worked. I don't know that there was ever a moment that I believed Darby Allin was going to win the match, but at least it was entertaining. To say the least, it was entertaining. We got a tag team match between Claudio and Wheeler Yuta versus Garcia and Jake Hager. Good match, nothing there. I like the Jericho Appreciation Society. I think the Blackpool Combat Club is essentially done. They're just trying to figure out what they're going to do next. But it's apparent to me that the crowd wants the Real Americans reunion probably more than they want Cesaro to re-win the Ring of Honor Championship. And if Tony Khan has half a brain, you can't go from the charisma of Chris Jericho to Mr. No Personality Cesaro and think that Ring of Honor belt is still going to have meaning. I think that Chris Jericho has to retain at Final Battle, and I think that it would be fun for the Jericho Appreciation Society to absorb Cesaro or Claudio. I keep calling him Cesaro. Claudio. For the Jericho Appreciation Society to absorb Claudio and start to try to give him a personality. To tag team him up with Jake, with Hager, and see if we can't, reignite some of that spark they had as the Real Americans. They could be the Purple Hat Boys. Like, I think that Cesaro has the personality. It's just locked away and he doesn't know how to let it out. I've seen him on Up, Up, Down, Down. He has personality. It doesn't come through on a television camera. And so I think the Jericho Appreciation Society could definitely get that out of him. The only problem is when you hear someone like Jon Moxley talk, when he cuts his promos and he does his little things back by the garage door, it is clear that AEW still is going to live and die on the stake of being a wrestling company. They don't want to be entertainment. And the Jericho Appreciation Society is even kind of poking fun at being sports entertainers, even though that's what Chris Jericho is. He's a sports entertainer and he does it better than almost anybody in the business. But I think that AEW's got to learn to lean into that a little bit if they want to be successful on a bigger level than they are right now. If they want to be a profitable company in the long term, they're going to have to let go of this idea that we are strictly a wrestling company. And guys like Jon Moxley are going to have to quit cutting promos where he just lays into this is wrestling. The casual fans aren't buying that, Mox. The casual fans want some of that comedy. The casual fans want some of that sports entertainment that you guys try to make fun of. It's what we want to watch. It's what I'm there to watch. Hell, MJF is sports entertainment. You can try to frame that any way you want, but that's what he is. Jake Hager is great sports entertainment, and I think Cesaro would benefit from time inside the Jericho Appreciation Society. I think it's time to cut ties on the Blackpool Combat Club. It's clear Bryan Danielson's off doing something else, or they're selling him as being with William Regal. It's clear that Moxley, there's no through line holding those guys together anymore. So I think you cut them loose. I think, and one way to do it is have Cesaro get absorbed by the Jericho Appreciation Society. I think it would be fun. I think it would be funny, and I think it would work. I think it would give him personality. We got a women's trios match. I couldn't tell you who was in it. It was Jade Cargill and a bunch of other people that were named after colors. I think there's a red velvet. There's a sky blue. Such innovative names in that match. But let's be honest. That match is just a continued effort to sell us on the idea that Jade Cargill is a big deal. That's all it is. It's an attempt to keep Jade Cargill over with the fans while they figure out what that division is, because that division right now makes no sense. It's a bunch of people that I don't recognize put into, six women put into a ring, and I can't identify a quarter of them, half of them, 3/4 of them. I know who Jade Cargill is. That's about it. I think there's a Sky Blue. Is that her name? Sky Blue. I think there's a Sky Blue. I think there's a Red Velvet. Other than that, I don't know. I don't know who the people are. But it's pretty plain to see that Tony Khan is investing into Jade Cargill. He's giving her television time on a weekly basis, which I think is the right move. And he's done a good job of at least making her seem important. Like her winning streak, it seems important. She seems like a big deal in what is the semblance of a women's division in AEW. The only problem is I think, how long, if Tony Khan can't put together a women's division, if he can't put together a coherent women's division outside of, Britt Baker and Paige or Saraya, who are going to be in a match again together in a tag team match, which is awesome. I'm excited for that. I think Britt Baker matters. I think Saraya matters. But outside of that, I don't know. None of those people are selling tickets. And so if they can't get some kind of division together for Jade Cargill, how long is it before WWE comes knocking on that door and goes, we have a lot of opportunity for you? Because there's no doubt right now that the women's division in WWE is a more profitable, more casual friendly, more commercial division, and Jade Cargill would fit perfectly into that division. So how long before, I don't know what Jade Cargill's contract is, but at some point in time, that contract's going to come up. And if AEW has not put together a women's division, I think that there's a high possibility that we see Jade Cargill. She fits right in to a WWE ring. She has all the attributes that Triple H would love in a women's wrestler. So I think be on the lookout for that. I'm sure that there's reports that WWE has shown interest in her. And so, we'll see what comes of that. And then we got a main event. We got a main event of the Acclaimed versus FTR, which, once again, this is one of these matches where I see the IWC just completely lose their shit over, and I still don't get it. I think this is the third FTR match that I've watched. I don't understand what you guys are seeing. I just don't see what everybody sees in FTR. Are they solid? Sure. Can I appreciate that they make the babyface team look good? Sure. Can I admit that they do a lot of things right? Sure, but there's nothing special there. Maybe I was just born in the wrong generation to understand. Maybe I'm too old to see the newness of them, and I'm too young to appreciate that 80s style of wrestling. I grew up in the Attitude Era. That's where I watched my wrestling. And that Attitude Era was just personality thrown in your face. And they just lack so much personality. They're a little bit boring. Like, they're good, but they're boring. There's no emotion. I have no emotional investment in their matches. The Acclaimed are good. On the other hand, the Acclaimed are stars. The Acclaimed are on the path very similar to the New Day. In that they're over with the crowd, they can wrestle, and they've got a gimmick that people buy into. The Scissor Me thing, like it's childish, but it's fucking funny. It works. The crowd loves it. Daddy Ass is a good addition to the group, and it just all of that works. And they are solid. This is the one place that AEW understands where commercialism is what they need on television, and the Acclaim provide that on a weekly basis. Once again, we got to turn and play devil's advocate a little bit. What is the ceiling for the Acclaimed? Because I know this gets debated all the time, but WWE is the pinnacle of pro wrestling. That's where I think everybody wants to be. They can lie, and Tony Khan can pay them enough money to keep them from going, but everybody wants a WrestleMania moment. And the Scissor Me thing doesn't work in WWE. So what is the ceiling for the Acclaimed? Do they become the greatest AEW tag team of all time? Do they become the New Day of AEW? But where do they go? Where do they really go from here? And how long does the Scissor Me thing last before the crowd turns on them? Because there was definitely FTR fans in that crowd. The Acclaimed aren't really the flavor of ice cream in pro wrestling that AEW fans tend to really love. I think that the Scissor Me thing has gotten over with them, but as time goes on, can they continue to keep the attention of the crowd? It'll be interesting to see, but I don't understand FTR. And you guys, like, people have tried to explain it to me, and every time they do, every time I get hit with the whole, well, they're just good. They're just real solid. They're old school. They don't flip around. That's cool. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm not a big flippy guy, but nothing they do sells me on this idea that I need to go, they're the best tag team in the world. I don't see it. We also got William Regal kind of bowing out gracefully. I thought that was a classy way to do that. I liked, if not a little bit confusing, that William Regal had pre-recorded a video that would explain everything that kind of happened. That was the classiest way you could write him off of AEW television. That kind of made sense. A little bit of I think it affects MJF just a little bit if you look deeply into this. Most people aren't gonna look deeply into it, but the idea that, like, he helped MJF because he wanted MJF to fail, none of that. Like, it was this weird kind of workaround to give him a proper send off from AEW, and to B, I think, salvage what's left of the Blackpool Combat Club, or whatever the fuck their name is, whatever that group is. But Tony Khan, he let William Regal go, and he gave him a 1-year non-compete. That's interesting. And it's not even a full-on 1-year non-compete. It's a 1-year non-television compete stipulation on releasing him from that contract, or however it was. I don't know if the contract was up or if William Regal had an out. But it's interesting. Tony Khan this definitely proves Tony Khan does not want people from AEW jumping over to WWE and being on television. Like, it's painfully obvious at that point. And the IWC, you guys have sat and fucking complained about the 90-day non-compete that WWE's been giving guys, but they pay people. Tony Khan's out here locking down people for an entire year. That's crazy. It's crazy that he doesn't want him on television. Like, there's definitely a fear in that from Tony Khan. Interesting. It'll be interesting to see if after a year, if William Regal appears back on WWE. But definitely that tweet from Triple H before War Games feels like a little bit of a shot fired. That was Triple H calling his shot, saying, you're coming home. You're coming back. That's interesting. I'm telling you, Triple H, I don't think Triple H has any fear of Tony Khan. And that's going to be dangerous for Tony Khan, because I think that Triple H is, the more the ratings fall, and we'll talk about that in a little bit in AEW, I think the more that people are going to want to jump ship.